You're listening to LSPN, the authority on sports-related podcasts.
You're listening to the Third Coast Gridiron H-Towns podcast on the LSG Network with your host, Marc Henry.
The high school season's in full swing, man. We had a great week one. Here in the H, this is the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. I'm your host, Marc Henry, right here on the LSG Network, the authority for high school football. We're going to come back and talk about a couple of big games of week one, a couple of big performances. Get you ready and set, go for week two. Here in the H on the Third Coast Gridiron, man, the LSG Network is in effect. So glad it's football season, man. I can't wait to talk about week two. Let's get it done. We'll take a small break. We'll come back and talk about a couple of big games from week one, some big performances, and break down week two right here on the Third Coast Gridiron.
Coaches, boosters, parents, every sport deserves a spotlight. From football and volleyball to basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, track, wrestling, and more. Give your athletes a weekly coaches show that builds pride and raises funds. Lone Star Podcast Network makes it turnkey. You talk for a few minutes. We handle production and distribution. Sponsors love it, families share it, and your program benefits. Get the free information kit at lonestarpodcast.com/coaches. That's lonestarpodcast.com/coaches. Your team, your sport, your show.
Let's talk about a few games from week one. Of course, one of the marquee matchups around the state featured North Shore and South Oak Cliff. This is a game that we actually pulled up in Dallas, but, North Shore was coming in with one of the better quarterbacks in the state, and Caleb Maryland, and also I was impressed with Aubrey Johnson as well. But let's get to the game. South Oak Cliff comes out on top 41-31 in a battle where they just controlled the trenches. This is the first time in a long time that North Shore has lost a regular season opening game. The South Oak Cliff Bears snapped a 37-game regular season winning streak. North Shore hadn't suffered a loss in a game since falling to Westfield in 2021. But Caleb Maryland, listen, he played well. 302 yards passing, 170 on the ground, 5 total touchdowns, but it just wasn't enough. They gave up a couple of 100 yards to 2 rushers. That's LaVon Morton and Mikael Trotter for the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears. They controlled the tempo. The Bears just really dominated up front. But I think both of these teams will be playoff teams for sure. It's a great game, great atmosphere up in Dallas. And you know that North Shore is going to bounce back from this. But I was really impressed again with Caleb Maryland, 302 yards, 170 on the ground, 5 total touchdowns. That's saying something. But the North Shore defense struggled, giving up 493 yards to South Oak Cliff and 370 on the ground. They averaged over 9 yards a carry. But, the Mustangs will be back. They got a tough district, so they'll be prepared for this. And, Coach Willie Gaston and those guys will get these guys ready, and that's what you want to see. A team that's battle-tested early, they'll have a chance to do that when they get to the district matchups. Of course, in their district, they got Sea King, Kingwood, Summer Creek, and Atascocita. So those are definitely teams that are formidable up in that district. So we'll definitely see that. But let's talk about Dickinson. I thought Dickinson really sent some shockwaves around the state with a big win over Katy. I mean, listen, shout out to Dickinson, man. The Gators put it on them. This was a big win for those guys. I think they're probably one of the better teams in the state. But they had gone 0-4 in previous matchups with Katy and had not won a season opener since 2021. Lorenzo Aguiar, I think that he's one of those guys that people need to talk about a little bit more at the quarterback position. 3 touchdowns on the night, including a couple to Caleb Peterson and another one to Braden Glover. Malachi Gamble had a 69-yard TD early in the third quarter to give Dickinson a 2-score advantage. That's saying something over Katy in the big matchup early on. So, Dickinson, I think the Gators are going to be battle tested. They're going to prepare themselves with that kind of win and that kind of test early with 24 6A competition. But they also have games against C.E. King and Cy-Fair, who both got wins in the opening week. So, hey, Katy, they got to go play Atascocita this week. So we'll talk about that game as well. But, shout out to the Dickinson Gators for getting a big win. Now let's talk about my guy Blake Hamilton. He's a guy, 3-star recruit, got it done for Tompkins. He's a top 300 player in the state in the 2026 class, according to 247 Sports. Scored 3 touchdowns as the Falcons got a 32-27 victory over Cypress Ranch. That was a big, big test for those guys, and they came out. He had a 99-yard kickoff return in the first quarter. Also an 80-yard run where he broke to the outside and just put the pedal to the metal and got busy. You know what I'm saying? He's an former All-Greater Houston private school selection over at Fort Bend Christian, where he accounted for over 1,100 yards, 14 total touchdowns, offense, defense. He can get it done. This is one of the top recruits in the state, and there's a reason that, Tompkins got that victory. Shout out to my guy Blake Hamilton for getting it done, man. But listen, let's talk a little HISD football. I always got to share some love, show those guys some love. Milby and North Forest put up video game numbers this weekend, man. Over 1,200 yards of total offense as the Milby Buffaloes got a 61-58 win in a barn burner. Gabriel Gutierrez was phenomenal. He was on point from start to finish. He's only a sophomore, class 2028, 19 for 31 for 525 yards and 8 tutties. Man, let me tell you that again. 19 for 31, 525 yards and 8 tutties. That was great. That was a great performance. You haven't seen that kind of production from Milby. The Buffaloes got a big win. North Forest has been one of the better teams in HISD for the last couple of years, but they got it done. I really like that. Shout out to him, man. Definitely a Third Coast Gridiron player to watch going into week 2. Gabriel Gutierrez over at Milby, man. Travian Davis also had a big game. 13 catches, 350 yards, and 5 tutties. Got it done. North Forest quarterback LaShawn Gray put up some big-time numbers as well, counted for 515 yards of total offense, including 325 on the ground and 190 through the air. 4 touchdowns, 2 rushing. Man, that was a big-time performance for those guys. I mean, you talking about they playing like Madden or NCAA football, you know what I mean? But shout out to those guys, man. Cypress Springs got a big victory in the opener against Fort Bend Bush, cruising to a 49-14 win. Shout out to Jarvis Spires, senior defensive lineman who had a heat stroke early in the year. Cypress Springs is definitely wanting to really turn the season around and have a great season for them. They have one of the best overall players, definitely in the H, in Paris Melvin, who is a Houston commit. He's one of the better players in the state, not just in the city of Houston. But they got the big win, 49-14, to get it done. We're going to take a small break here on the Third Coast Gridiron and come back and talk about a few players. We're going to spotlight, and then we'll break down week 2 as we head into the H-Town High School football season right here on the LSG Network. I'm your host, Marc Henry. We'll take a small break. We'll be right back.
Looking to boost your company's marketing? Look no further than Fresh Media Works. Podcasting is the best way to promote your brand and increase your customer base. You can create your own show, be a guest on other podcasts, or advertise on existing podcasts to reach a valuable audience. Don't wait. Start elevating your marketing game today with Fresh Media Works. Call now, 713-269-4620, or find us online at freshmediaworks.com/podcasting.
All right, we're back here on the Third Coast Gridiron. I'm your host, Marc Henry. Let's talk about a few big-time game performances this week. Of course, we got to start with my guy, Keyshawn Henderson, Houston commit over at Legacy Sports Science. He had a terrific debut in Titans 45-27 victory over Second Baptist. This is one of the top recruits in the country. Of course, shout out to the U of H Cougars and U of H for getting this guy to be in their recruiting class. He's going to be a phenomenal talent over there. Look for big things coming from Keyshawn when he gets to U of H. But let's talk about this big performance, 35-42 for 423 yards, 6 tutties. Also rushed for 43 yards. He'll be a big time reason that I think these guys have a chance to go undefeated this year. But this week they got one of the toughest teams in the state of Texas, 17th ranked Port Arthur Memorial 5AD1 squad that's literally got some of the top talent in the state. But I think that if anybody can get it done, it's Keyshawn Henderson. Big-time performance. Let's talk about junior running back Cash Schwab for Bridgeland, who burst on the scene last year in the playoffs, had a big game against perennial power Duncanville, where he showed that he's one of the top rushers in the area, and he should be on college's radars from his performance after this week. The Bears opened the season with a 35-20 victory over Dawson, 64 yards and a touchdown, and finished the game with 146 and two scores on just 8 carries. That's an average of over 18 yards a carry. He also had a couple catches for 47 yards, giving him almost 200 yards of total offense. He is a guy that can get it done, and he's going to be the feature guy. He's not just a power runner. He can make long rushes, at the second level, good bursts, a little wiggle to his game. Cash Schwab, junior running back at Bridgeland. Keep an eye on him this season. He's going to be a guy in the age that you need to know about. Bryce Duran, senior quarterback over at Angleton. Angleton's one of those teams, man, that you definitely got to keep an eye on when it comes to making playoff runs. They had a big-time playoff run last year. But Duran was on fire. He didn't play much, but 6 for 8, 236 yards and 4 touchdowns, 39 yards per completion. That's saying something. A 6-8-7 victory over Clear Lake. This guy has that it factor. You're definitely going to want to keep an eye on Angleton this year. Camden Hughes over at College Park got it done. 14 for 16, 221 yards and 5 touchdowns. Also got 2 scores on the ground as they got busy and got past Cypress Park 73-6. Hughes is one of those guys, again, it's a lot of times these guys fly under the radar, but this is one of those quarterbacks in age that you need to get your eyes on and start taking a look at this guy. You know what I'm saying? But the senior got it done, big-time performance. Of course, we talked about this guy last week a little bit when we talked about the Willis Wildcats and Texas commit Jermaine Bishop. He's one of the best in the country, not just in the state of Texas, not just in Houston. Willis got a big opening week victory over 42-12 over Davis. Now, Davis is one of those teams, Aldine Davis, we thought they can challenge them and have a playoff run. But this is a team in Willis that is looking to make a statement. The last couple of years, they've made it to the third round of the playoffs in the 6A Division II ranks and run into DeSoto up in the Dallas area. So, Bishop's one of those guys that can get it done. Had 8 catches for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns. Shout out to Lincoln Frazier, the freshman quarterback who got the nod over there at Willis, who definitely is a guy you might want to check out. But listen, when you talk about two-way players and talk about guys that can affect the game on both sides of the football, Jermaine Bishop Jr. is the guy. He also had 11 tackles, 8 solo, 2 fumbles, forced fumbles, and 2 PBUs on the defensive side. Man, what are you going to do with a guy like this? He's a plug-and-play type of guy. You just have to make sure he has an opportunity to affect the game on both sides of football. But this is one of the best in the country, and that's the reason that the University of Texas has him committed in their 2026 class. Last but not least, man, shout out to Edward Kelly Jr. over at Klein High School. He's one of the top rushers in the state. They got a big victory over Oak Ridge to open it up, 75-20. The Bearcats had 455 yards of total offense and 7 touchdowns. Now, Kelly Jr. is an SMU commit, 180 yards and 3 tutties on the ground. This guy is must-see TV. Speed, burst, power, catching out the backfield. Whatever you need him to do it. There's a reason that he was heavily recruited. This is a guy that could get up to SMU and really stake a claim and get some early playing time. But I definitely like his game, and he was a big reason that Klein got to win. But let's take a break right here on the LSG Network, Third Coast Gridiron. We're going to talk about week 2, a couple big games that we've got our eye on here on the Third Coast Gridiron. We'll be right back.
Coaches, boosters, parents, every sport deserves a spotlight. From football and volleyball to basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, track, wrestling, and more. Give your athletes a weekly coaches show that builds pride and raises funds. Lone Star Podcast Network makes it turnkey. You talk for a few minutes. We handle production and distribution. Sponsors love it. Families share it, and your program benefits. Get the free information kit at LoneStarPodcast.com/coaches. That's LoneStarPodcast.com/coaches. Your team, your sport, your show.
Week 2 matchups in H-Town. Let's start with Summer Creek and Lamar. Now, we know that Summer Creek has Benny Easter and a couple of guys that can make some plays. Of course, the Bulldogs are in that matchup or in that district that features North Shore, Kingwood, C. King, and Atascocita. But the Lamar Texans, listen, they're a very good team. That's a game you got to keep your eye on as well. How about Fort Bend Ridgepoint taking on Fulshire? I like Fort Bend Ridgepoint. I told you guys a couple of weeks ago when we started this, if you're tapping in with the show, that I think Fulshire has a chance coming out of 21-6A to make a deep playoff run. Hightower could be the only challenge for them. Travis should have a good team. But I see these guys really running roughshod over this particular district. Avery Marco, Hugh Smith, Preston Hall, Romare Smith, Jordan Burnett, Balin George, Dylan Bennett, Bryson Doucette, Braden Bondnick. These are some of the guys that will really be prevalent in getting this team where they need to be. This is a loaded roster with a lot of Division I talent, especially on that offensive line. Coach LaFavors has a squad, and that quiet is kept. A lot of people are talking about in 6A. Of course, they're going to talk about the North Shores, the Cadies, and all of those kind of squads when it comes to making playoff runs coming out of H. But I really think this Fort Bend Ridgepoint team is built to win it this year and make it out. They got a big one against Fulshire this week. That's a game we'll keep an eye on as well. Atascocita's taking on Katy. Of course, the Tigers are licking their wounds from a loss to Dickinson, and Atascocita's rolling. Watch out for my guy, Isaiah Rashid over there. He's a do-it-all guy. Of course, they got Corday Mack there, who's on the state commit, and a couple of more guys. I think this is one of Coach Stump's best teams that he's had in a long time. The Atascocita Eagles are definitely a team to reckon with. They beat Katy last year. Now, listen, they welcome them in to the Eagles' home stadium this week. So I think this is a game that definitely Atascocita is looking forward to. Could the Katy Tigers rebound? We'll see. We talked about the Dickinson Gators as well. They take on C. King. Shout out to my guy Dylan Mitchell over there. He's one of the top running backs in the class 2028. Of course, he's one of the top sprinters in the country. They'll have to contain him and other guys on that particular team. But I thought that Lorenzo Aguiar played very well for Dickinson this week. He's one of the quarterbacks you want to keep your eye on. Definitely a guy that you want to see. Efficient, got a great arm. He makes great decisions. And I think this guy's one of those guys that definitely you want to keep an eye on. Another matchup that's intriguing as well. As we close out the show, the Pearland Oilers take on Houston Memorial. Memorial's got a sneaky little team. They got some guys over there. Pearland, of course. Shout out to my guy Swan in the backfield over there. He's one of those guys that you need to know about for Pearland Oilers, who got a big victory in week 1. The Woodlands takes on Deer Park. That's a pretty good game. Of course, the Woodlands, it's been great for a number of years. We'll see how that matchup pans out. But I think that, the Woodlands is a team to watch as well. Bridgeland and Katy Tompkins, the Falcons had a big victory. We talked about Blake Hamilton. We talked about Cash Schwab, junior running back over there. I think that these guys for Bridgeland know that they have a very good team. Both teams have been playoff teams the last couple of years. This should be a barometer, a big test for both teams to see where they're at as far as standing up against top competition around the H. One more game that we're looking at is the Jordan Warriors taking on Fort Bend Travis. Don't sleep on Jordan. With Katy taking a licking or a loss in the first game, can they hold on to the district grip, the vice grip hold that they've had on 19-6A for the last couple of years? Of course, the Jordan Warriors got a big victory over Cypress Creek 41-0 in week 1. 19-6A is a district that a lot of people maybe not talk about around the state, but definitely in the H, which features Jordan, Katy, Cinco Ranch, Maid Creek, Morton Ranch, Paytow, big victory as well. That's a team you got to look at. Taylor, Tompkins as well, and Seven Lakes rounds out that district. That's a very tough district, but I think that these guys know that they have some talent over at Jordan, and they've just been a couple of plays away from beating Katy the last couple of years and just hadn't been able to get it done. Can the Warriors sneak up on the Tigers this year? That's going to be seen, not heard. Definitely a few games that you got to watch over in the H this week that we broke down for you. We'll be back at you on next week to talk week 3 and break down the big-time players and big-time games from week 2 right here on the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron, right here on the LSG Network. I'm your host, Marc Henry. You can follow us on Twitter at Third Gridiron. You can follow me on Twitter at MarkN44 on the Mark Sports as well. Tap in each week, and we will break it down for H-Town right here on the Third Coast Gridiron. We'll holler.
Hey, coaches, you may have already missed the boat on getting your own coaches show this season on Lone Star Gridiron, but did you know we're doing basketball shows this year? That's right. If you're a basketball coach and you want your own coaches show, we have a great business model that allows you or your booster club to make money from the show and at the same time promote your program, your kids, and all the amazing things happening with your basketball team. To find out how you can get your very own basketball coaches show, reach out to Chris at 713-269-4620.